yeah, just earlier when you were casting, for instance, when Gogong picked up the Flame Strike off the top, you were probably like, oh, that's not going to help him too much.
Yeah,
but the entire cast
they
was
were going
like,
nuts.
oh my god.
Like he was dead 100%. Like Flame Strike barely even took much power off the board.
Right, Flame Strike into Yogg, though.
Yeah.
Kept him alive. He kept him so he didn't
could've.
die that exact turn. But
It could have. They anything to keep the hope of Yogg alive is what they live for.
the city of Yogg, Bangkok, Thailand, here at the Pan Tip Sports Arena. All right. Speaking of backstab, that is in the hand of Shy. Imagine he's going to wait until turn 3 to go ahead and use that. You can actually go for something kind of weird and wacky like turn 3, Questing Adventure, backstab, coin, Cold Blood to turn into, what would that be at that point, a 9-5? So, you never know. By the way, this is the only Malchezaar's Imp in the deck here of Ledah. It is not really discard lock. It's just kind of Zoo with one Malchezaar's Imp in it.
Pretty standard too. You know, it's got a Sea Giant, runs one Soulfire, one Malchezaar's Imp. So just having an extra 1-drop can be pretty important in the matchup, in a lot of matchups.
Especially a threatening, 1-drop like Malchezaar's Imp can really fuel your hand.
Yep, fuel your hand to 1-3. I really like the versions of the discard Zoo that have Demon Fire. I don't think a lot of times Darkshire Librarian is cut for that, or you can even cut, some of the more consistent cards to make room for it, but I don't recommend that.
Ooh, okay. Well, Van Cleef has picked up. I think Prep was what Shai wanted to see here. Could have gone for questing backstab, Prep, Sap, Coin, Cold Blood, something like that. But as it stands, in a bit of trouble here. Could go for Coin. He could go for something weird like Coin, backstab, Cold Blood, kill the cold-blooded minion, play Van Cleef. If you want to take 5 damage and make an 8-8.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really worth it though.
All right, well,
I think just
set up for,
yeah, Sap, because with Sap you can effectively force him to play it again, and then next turn Sap Coin Edwin.
Or just coin at Azure Drake plus backstab.
Yeah.
And hopefully you pick up Prep
Yeah.
and you maybe sap it again. So.
But, I mean, if he just replays Darkshire Councilman this turn, you can almost clear the board and develop an 8-8. Because now he has Sap Coin, backstab the Boardwalker, attack in, and Edwin.
By the way, for those of you who are curious why TJ said earlier that the Questing Adventure Rogue is a bit worse against Zoo, you're seeing exactly why. Questing Adventures aren't really doing anything right now.
Yeah, if that was a Violet Teacher or an Earthring Farseer coming out to the board to contest, and you really don't need to, win against this deck. You just have to not lose until you can draw into enough damage. And usually making a big Questing Adventure is a lot less consistent against this deck because of Defender Vargas, because of Voidwalkers, because they'll just sort of burst you down before you get to that point. So, also, a lot of times you have less removal. I think you have more room to run Double Shadow Strike in old Miracle, whereas in the new Miracle with Questing Adventure, a lot of players don't run Double Shadow Strike, which I think is a mistake, D2! Get rid of that SI! Run one SI and Double Shadow Strike, it's better!
Yeah, we were having that discussion earlier. But all that aside, Shai, he actually had a really well thought out plan starting from a couple turns ago. Got the 8-8 Van Cleef out here. Instead of Ledah, this is the power of Malchezaar's Imp. You play with that Doomguard, doesn't matter, you got 2 more cards anyway. Don't like these cards anyway. Who needs a Darkshire Councilman? Just get sapped.
Yeah.
All right, well, pressure is back on the Shai, down to 17 health, and with only one Earthen Ring, excuse me, he has no Earthen Ring Postures because this isn't Ledah's Rogue. With little healing, 0 healing in the deck, he's under the gun.
Huh. I don't really like the Eviscerate here. It's only killing on Malchezaar's Imp. I would have liked to see Azure Drake get closer to a prep to try and make a big turn next turn where you Questing Adventure prep something and then Eviscerate something. You only take 1 extra power off the board, and you use Eviscerate, and you have a 3-3 instead of a 4-4.
I think he wants to just clear the board, because this effectively clears the board, because even if Visa Charging going into the Questing Adventure kills off the Shadow Beast. So he just kind of wants to put an extra threat on the board, and you know, if you're Ledah, do I kill an 8-3 or do I kill a 3-3 that grows every single turn? So putting a lot of pressure on to Ledah. You don't really need to kill an Azure Drake, essentially.
Yeah.
But Ledah says, you know what, I don't really need this Sea Giants. Just gonna go ahead and Soulfire. The issue with Shai's plan, though, is that now Ledah can just ignore the 8-3, and now the Edwin's doing cleanup duty.
Yeah, I mean, he's still at 30. Ledah is basically going to say, well, your Edwin's probably going to trade into my minions anyway. And he would have drawn a prep.
Wow. Yeah. Would have been pretty nice. But Shai, all of a sudden, needs to make a decision. I think he has to go face with this Edwin. I think he needs to find a way to just kill at some point. But disagrees. Starts clearing out the board, and Ledah is perfectly fine playing this game. First tap of the game.
That Triggler's pretty good. And it's very threatening if it sticks onto the board, which is a big deal.
Well, Smorg Juggler says, I don't really care about Span Cleave.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't care about the Bane Cleave either, Juggler.
Well, going to go ahead and trade in with his Possessed Villager, looks like. And is he going to trade into Drake? Nope. Well, he's going to go face again. And Shai really wants to pick up a Fan and Eyes right now. That is not it. Fan off
Still
the
pick
top,
it up, though.
potentially.
And now there's 3 spell power. Aw.
Well, unfortunately, the prep doesn't work like Innervate. You can't prep SI here. Everything is just so awkward here for Shai. Like, all of these cards in hand don't really work well with each other, other than Leroy Power or Leroy Cold Blood killing the face. But yeah, just gonna cycle the Blood Mage. Needs those cards right now. We have 6 damage on the board. Something like a Power Bombing would be lethal. Abusive plus Knife to the face. That is lethal. And Ledah is gonna go ahead and take a 1-0 series lead, and we already have the Thai fans going nuts.
Yeah. That is a rough game for Shai because his opening hand was pretty bad, and he probably felt like he played that early game pretty well, but just wasn't able to get it out. Ledah just got too much damage in early, and so he's going to take a 1-0 lead. He's got a long road ahead of him if he wants to take the grand finals, but first step.
Step 1 of 6.
Step 1 of 6. That's right.
Well, that all said, though, we did kind of predict that Warlock was going to be able to do pretty well against the Rogues. So Shai taking a bit of a gamble going off with a deck that he knew was weak to in that zoo in particular. And just them's the break sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now Shai has to sort of rethink his game plan here in his head. I know he was hoping to get a win, like a quick win with that Questy Rogue, so he wouldn't have to go into the mirror matchup, even though I think he'd be good in the mirror matchup. Rogue mirror matchups are stressful. They're the most stressful mirror match because you always think that they're going to have the nuts, even when you have it. So the Rogue probably wanted to dodge that, but
I think when you go into any sort of matchup against the Rogue, because if you do take a look at the crowds here, very enthusiastic fans. Even have some players going nuts there. I see a lot of players actually that I've recognized over the weekend, including actually I met Throne just a few moments ago.
Yeah.
Pretty cool guy.
I was down there.
Speaks very fluent English.
Yeah. I was down there talking to a bunch of them yesterday as they were going through their matches, trying to actually get it from word of mouth instead of looking at the bracket, because it's much easier to you look on the bracket and you see a 3-2, but there's much more to it than that a lot of times. So
see their faces, they're like,
yeah, yeah.
They need to smoke.
Helping out their friends, like saying, oh, this guy ran this guy ran this, even though deck lists are public, you know, just sort of hearing like the words from
how it feels,
like how he plays and things like that. There's a lot of teammates here.
Yeah.
Like Singapore has Gameforge, they have Mana Surge, Abyssus, then there's Malaysia who has M8. There's a lot of M8 players here.
Chonger,
yep. And like Taiwan, they have J-Team. A couple players from J-Team here, I think 3. So there's a lot of, you know, those teams that have very tight groups of players that send all their players to the major.
Yeah, send them. There's only 2 thus far that have happened with the Singapore and Thailand. So
hopefully many more to come.
Absolutely. Actually, yesterday I went down and was I walked right into the middle of a conversation where Kranich was telling Ping Ping Ho how bad his shaman was.
I told Pipping Ho how bad his shaman was.
He defended it, but Kranich was like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting into the next game. It's going to be Ledah with the rogue. I'm actually somewhat surprised that Shai went with the druid here, because you figure if he went with the rogue last game and it ran to its counter, then, you know, if the counter's out of the way, then the rest of the decks should be good matchups for it.
Yep. Thus is Conquest.
All right, coin innervate teacher only can be answered by sap.
Or
And
like prep Shadow Strike or something ridiculous.
yeah, prep off the top or sap would be pretty good here for Ledah.
Yeah.
Up there's the prep. I think you use it before the Bio Teacher goes off. We see in the hand there's a Power of the Wild, so that's not going to be 5 health anymore after this turn. At least most
Maybe
likely.
you can wait one turn.
Can you though?
I think you can. I don't know. Because what is he going to do with Violet Teacher on 2 mana? If he does Power of the Wild, he's only making a 2/2, and you can still kill it with Prep Shadow Strike and the Dagger hit. And if you draw a Van Cleef next turn, you're really going to be hating yourself for using it.
But what if his hand is exactly Innervate, Living Rich Power?
Then he just has it. then you just bow down and say, "You are the Hearthstone god."
Well, Ledah knew he's going to get an SI off the top, so no big deal.
Well, if he knew that he was going to get an SI off the top, it would have been even more reason to hold it, because he would have got an extra 2 damage.
Not true. True. Well, didn't want to face tank the 4 the following turn if there was a Power of the Wild. And Shai in a bit of trouble, does go for the Moonglade Portal immediately. Going to go ahead and take out this Tomb Pillager with his Wrath and Face. And not much to do here for Ledah. Needs to pick up a Gadgetzin right quick.
Yeah. Bad Knives can cycle, but not really going to be doing much against this deck. And he's going to have to, he's going to have to use it just to sort of draw in more. Double Eviscerate now. He's got so much damage, but nothing of substance.
Yeah, just all frosting and no cake.
Cake. That's a good analogy.
All right, Moonglade Portal off the top, hiding the... Oh, Wall Drake is pretty nice. Ooh, very spicy.
That's so funny. I've actually never seen a druid with a Kaldara Drake, because it's, you know, it's just unlikely that it happens.
I got Kaldara Drake off of, I think, another spot Historian, I think, the other day.
Okay.
But
yeah,
if that's possible, maybe I'm making things up.
When you hear power multiple times with a druid,
it's
just
pretty
keep
good.
growling over and over again until eventually you reach critical mass. All right, if he doesn't draw a Dominion here, I think he should.
Good portal.
No, Raven Idol for a minion.
Oh, right, yeah.
Let's see if he did. He didn't.
And his options were Bite, Starfall, and Swipe there. I'm going to go ahead and bring Valera to Northrend. Straight to Northrend goes Valera.
Hit him right in the face. It's going to be a grindy game. Ledah not drawn into Gadgetzin Auctioneer. Shai not drawn into his Nourishes. They got to, you know, make do with what they have. And if Ledah has to use a Deadly Poison and an Eviscerate here to clear off this, I guess he could just hit in with an Eviscerate. Yeah. Forget I said anything about the Deadly Poison.
By the way, going back to Shai's decision to go for the spell there, I think that he's fine with just removing everything that Ledah puts out, but he doesn't want to have stuff for Ledah to do, potentially. A lot of times, for instance, if you have a Gadgetzin Auctioneer go off, you just play nothing and they can't sap anything. So, or backstab or Shadow Strike.
Yeah, that's true. There are some times where you just get Illidan and you go off. Sometimes you just get Deathwing.
Oh, you can kind of go off
my
here.
Goodness. This is going to be... I mean, you go for it, 100%.
Right.
Your hand is pittance right now.
Yeah, 3/3 saplings. Let's go. Take him really to Northrend. 6/4.
That's huge.
6/4 Divine Shield. Please fix.
So he's going to push 7 damage this turn. So he's going to put him to 18. And on the board, he's going to have 12 plus 5 from hand the next turn. So 17. Oh, this is going to be big. I mean, Ledah can clear some of this, but...
And this isn't typically the strategy for Druid against Rogue, but it is for a lot of decks, right? You just kill them before they have the chance to do anything.
Yeah. So he can backstab the Argent Commander, eviscerate it, and then Deadly Poison to clear off one of the 3/3s and clear off the second 3/3 the next turn. It's a lot of damage that you're taking, but I think it's damage that's necessary to try and get back into this game. And Shai's going to be getting very close to lethal, and Ledah still has no substance in his hand. If a big threat comes out from Shai, which he does have 2 Ancient of Wars and 2 Moonglade Portals in his deck.
One more Moonglade Portal in his deck. Wild Growth is not that
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like 2.
His 2 Arcane Giants.
2 Arcane Giants as well, and he's casted a lot of spells so far.
And Yogg.
And Yogg.
Van Cleef is a little bit late.
I mean, do you just try and cash in on the Leroy now to get something onto the board, even though it gets straight into? I don't even know. This is so bad.
Leroy, Cold Blood, coin Van Cleef, get the 8/8 Van Cleef, take out the Sapling, 10 damage to face. You really want the 8/8. You don't really want the 6/6 because that can potentially get taken care of with just swipe and Wrath. You know your opponent has a couple of spells in hand. Yeah. And he's going for it. Here we go.
Well, we'll see if it works out.
And Shai's going to be expecting something like a Conceal, but no such thing in Ledah's hand. Just, this is it. Here we go. That's my hand.
But Shai is now going to be 2 damage off lethal, so if he picks up pretty much any card in his deck that deals damage.
Well, 1 damage actually with the hero power, so.
1 damage, yeah. So literally any card that deals damage.
That's heal. Unfortunately, Reckless Rocketeer 1 time. Actually, he wouldn't have lethal after. No, he would with the hero power. Reckless Rocketeer would be lethal. Master Jester comes out, no Battlecry unfortunately, but doesn't get to take out the Leroy.
I think you set up the 2-turn lethal and don't kill the Leroy Jenkins. As weird as it sounds.
Yeah, makes sense.
The only thing that loses you the game in that situation would be like Earth the Ring Farseer, which Ledah does run 1 of.
But you still have to trade if you're Ledah, though, in that situation,
Yeah, he'd still have to trade, and so you're just buying more time to draw into an additional
In fact, he has
spell.
to trade into a Whelp most of the time. So, yeah, good spot there by Shai, saying, you know, I don't really need to kill out the Leroy, even though it's insane sounding because it's a 10-2. But, yeah, Shai is able to finish out the game here after this turn once Ledah decides what he wants to do. He's going to tie up this series 1-1.
Impressive play, I suppose, recognizing, you know, that he needed to go very aggressive early on and sort of go all in. Usually a good strategy against Rogue because they do struggle to deal with all in sometimes. If they take damage, that damage is sticking.
Right.
Ledah does run 1 Earth Ring Farseer, but Rogue doesn't run taunts. Questing Adventure Rogue doesn't run heals, so very hard for them to stabilize once they've reached like a critical health. So tied 1-1 now, and we have Rogue Druid and Rogue Hunter. Rogue Hunter for Shai, and Rogue Druid for Ledah.
Yeah, losses on both Rogues so far. And like you mentioned, Rogue is very good at dealing with stuff, but when they have to deal with every last thing, including Whelps, you're in a bit of trouble. So.
Yeah, even if you take like 1 damage a turn because you're daggering a 1/1, it's still damage that you're not getting back.
Or even doing something like, you know, he had a backstab and eviscerate, for instance, the Argent Commander.
Yeah.
And when you don't have to do that, when, you know, you can go ahead and just take your time and say, you know, I'll leave that 1 minion, I'll kill these 2 efficiently, get some Gadgetzin nonsense going on, and then maybe build up, you know, Van Cleef or what have you, and then you're okay. I just let that 1 minion, it's okay. But when you get the Rogue down far enough, can't leave it alone.
Yeah, but a little bit of a rough draw for Ledah there. No Azure Drakes, no Gadgetzin Auctioneers.
None of the cycle except for Fan.
And he fanned on an empty board, so that's not what you want to have happen. So it's hard to tell how the decks actually match up.
Right.
Because Druid and Hunter is actually a pretty close matchup. I do like the Hunter most of the time, but because Druids don't deal with high mains very well at all, and they also don't deal with a lot of early pressure well, unless they have like perfect starts. But Hunter versus Rogue, and this is this sort of is going to take us back a little bit, because recently with Questing Adventurer, I feel like Hunter is better, but this is sort of an old school Hunter that Shy has, where it has 2 deadly shots in Stranglethorn Tiger.
Right. The thing with the Hunter is that the faster it is, the better against Rogue.
Yeah.
Because you get that damage in before Rogue can respond. The more mid-range, the more late game you play. Things like high main, they just get sapped, gives Rogue time. And looking at Shy's list, 1 Unleash, 1 Stranglethorn Tiger. Stranglethorn Tiger does pretty good against Rogue. They can't deal with that. That's going face.
It's guaranteed 5 damage.
Exactly. And 2 Abusive Sergeants, but no Argent Squires. 2 Fiery Bats, and like you mentioned, 2 Deadly Shots. So somewhat fast. Needs to get a fast start here to kill off Ledah.
This is a very risky keep from Ledah. He kept 3 minions.
Yeah.
Which I very, very rarely recommend as a rogue player, because 3 minions is, you want to be proactive against Hunter.
I cast a game yesterday where a rogue took 10 damage from a huge toad because he had no way to deal with it.
No way to deal with it. I mean, I understand in Ledah's case he has Coin and he has Coin SI, which are probably 2 of the main ones, but I mean, he might just not be doing anything for a long time without spells. I mean, he's picked up Deadly Poison, he's picked up Eviscerate, so those are going to be pretty good for him. And yeah, it's probably going to pay off in the long run for Ledah because of the fact that he's been picking up spells for his next couple turns, and the fact that Shy missed his 1 and 2 drop, but not too sure.
Yeah, Shy did have the opportunity to play the Fire Bat last turn on turn 2, but elected not to because once he picks up the Houndmaster in the future, it's very nice to be able to get that out and get the guaranteed buff onto it. But all that aside, finally seeing Ledah's plan come into action here. Going to have a 6/6 Van Cleave, but Shy says, you know what, this is why I have Deadly Shot in the deck.
I mean,
yeah, it didn't work out too well.
yeah, I might even like to see SI7 agent there, because literally anything that would kill the SI7 agent would also kill the Van Cleave. And you take the 4 damage anyway most of the time. I guess he realized that he wouldn't have enough early spells to make the Van Cleave bigger later.
Right.
But then that becomes a problem with his mulligan.
Yeah,
He
true.
shouldn't have kept so many minions if his plan early on was to make a big Van Cleave. So
Also, you're playing against a deck that has 2 Deadly Shots, even if you know that Shy is not going to be keeping in his opening hand. There's a reasonable chance he just gets one.
yeah.
Alright, so going to be backs up SI. Looks like he's using his Deadly Poison Dagger into the Fiery Bat here, which is somewhat painful, but things have to be done. And he wanted it to go on the SI7 agent, by the way. 2 is 3 for Hunter, a bit of a Moz math for you.
Unless he's running arcane shots.
We actually had a player running Yogg and Load. I went down, and there's a player apparently who just runs Yogg. He's a Yogg and Load connoisseur. He plays on ladder, gets high legend, and he actually played in this tournament. I think he got to the quarterfinals, or pretty far into the lower bracket here.
I don't know if I trust anybody who calls himself a Yogg and Load connoisseur.
Well, I guess I called him that, but
Okay. Glad he didn't call himself that.
Alright, by the way, Ledah not committing to killing off the wolf here, but can do so next turn.
Yeah.
And things are kind of coming to a head here, because Ledah has the ability to go up with Gadgetzan pretty soon, but on the other side of the board here is the Call of the Wild. And let's see if Ledah wants to get this Tomb Pillager out as quickly as possible, or if he just goes for trying to maintain the board state with the SI. Ooh, was not expecting this.
If he doesn't draw exactly prep, he gets 1 card from Gadgetzan Auctioneer, and it's likely to be killed. It's a little bit risky, especially, I don't know.
I suppose he wants to force a reaction out of Shy, and then from there, he has minions to play, and he also has ridiculous amounts of damage in hand. Obviously, he didn't have the second Cold Blood, but he already had 8 from the Eviscerate Cold Blood, plus just SI and the Tomb Pillager doing a lot of damage.
I feel like he had a decent enough early game to feel like he can just play Tomb Pillager and say go. And save it for the coin.
Yeah, just go nuts with gadgets in.
Yeah. Hero power is very strong against Rogue. Just pressing that button over and over again. I can't remember who it was, but a very smart Hunter player, and it was at EU Spring Championships. Told me that sometimes it's just better to, even if you have high man on 6,
Just Hunter power.
just hero Hunter hero power, because if it's going to get sapped if you have like a weaker play. He was in a situation where he had high man on 6 and like an animal companion.
Yeah.
And so he just played animal companion and got like a Misha and then hero powered.
Right. I can see making that play, making sure to get the hero power
Yeah.
in every single time. If you have literally nothing else, though, you kind of have to play the high main.
Yeah. But this is going to be a rough position for Ledah now. He's got to find a way to win the game, which he has enough damage to do so, but also deal with a Call of the Wild, which is
Right.
like
he knows it's in his
inevitable
hand,
and
by the
looming.
way.
Looming,
I was going to mention that when you see your opponent play Abusive Sergeant onto a board that's screaming for Phantom Knives,
Yeah.
just to make sure to get something out for a Call of the Wild, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
5, how much damage is
That's
this?
lethal.
Is it?
Yeah.
5,
7, 8, 9.
9.
Oh, no, it's
12.
one off.
One off lethal. Feels bad, man. He does have the Hunter Hero power, though, so he can just start trading in here. Can he possibly die if he leaves everything alive?
I don't think
It's Sap, double Cold Blood, double Eviscerate would be the dream.
that'd be 16 plus 8. That'd be 24. But he'd literally have to have exactly those 5 cards. And
Wait.
it's not because you don't have enough mana.
Oh, 1 mana off lethal.
Yeah.
Oh no.
If he Shadow Strikes the
Wow.
Misha and then eviscerates, and Cold Bloods,
If that was Sap, he had lethal. That's insane.
that's 12, 8, that's 20 damage. So almost has it, but and you're gonna see him like
He's just
put a
gonna
little smile on
show.
his face. He's like,
I almost had you, Shy.
I'm gonna show you how close I was. I'm gonna empty my hand and show you how much damage this is. So
If there was a way to kill off his Tomb Pillager somehow, while getting the damage in the face, if only.
yeah. All
So
right.
he has 12 plus 9 right now, which is 21.
He's gonna go over every single possible scenario in his head and say, maybe I'm doing the math wrong,
Yeah.
because this is the grand finals.
Wait, what if he had Cold Blood and then Eviscerate? But then he has so much fewer damage because he's using Eviscerate on the Misha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how close Shy realizes he was to dying there.
Yeah. But Shy now 1 game away from becoming the Hearthstone Thailand Major champion. And he's got a lot of leeway as well. If he loses this game, he has 1 more game to lose in this match, and then he's got 3 more games to lose in the second match. But he's got Questing Adventure Rogue against Ledah's Rogue or Druid. And I like Questing Adventure Rogue in the mirror match because you can go all in faster, but it's more vulnerable to sap. And Druid, it's just kind of
Up in the air, depending
kind
on
of
what
up in
you
the
get-
air.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
you get as far as your draws are concerned. If I'm Ledah here, I think I lead off with the Druid. I feel like it's a better matchup. I think your
Yeah.
Rogue is just strictly not favored just based on the cards in your deck.
yeah.
And so just, earlier we were talking about, maybe you want to, get your worst deck out there first because, you might fall to a lower bracket and you want to keep your stamina. Right now, I think I just want to have any sort of mental edge that I can. If you make
Sure.
your opponent lose once, maybe he starts sweating,
Yeah.
he's a little bit nervous. So anything you can to get that grand prize. I think I lead off with the best deck here.
I would just not even spend any brain power thinking about it and just pick one at random.
Where is my Thai bot here? All right, found one.
The
Flip the coin.
Yeah, the conquest pick order. I don't know. You can get like a little bit of a mental edge, but saving the mental stamina that you have to just not think about it and click a deck at random
Well, I think it
might
takes, like,
give you an
one-
edge in the long run because that's like seconds of of time in each match that you're saving, which by the end of a day could really add up. And at the end, it doesn't even matter.
Well, Ledah has decided to go with the Rogue. One goes with the worst matchup in my opinion, as opposed to the Druid. Valera versus Valera, and he has an uphill climb. But that said, it's just 2 cards. So we see the differences already. So this is an interesting matchup. I don't think a lot of people have too much experience with this because typically it's kind of just Miracle Rogue experts going at it. And what typically happens is that one player has a ridiculous hand with gadgets in and just kind of a bunch of stuff to fuel that. The other player has to make the decision along the way that my opponent just has a better hand, I have to go all in.
Yep.
And typically we actually see the player who makes the all-in call actually win because it's some crazy like Leroy plus, you know, the conceal. Or something, you know, just any other minion there with the conceal to be able to get that damage in. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Neither player has the opportunity to go all in right now. In fact, they both have pretty reasonable gadgets in hands.
Yeah, but Ledah has the Tomb Pillager, which is so important in this matchup.
Yep.
It's a minion that has to be answered, but that's also sort of a utility minion, which is, you know, not very common in Rogue. You know, you either have a utility minion that doesn't provide much of a threat, or you have just a minion that's just a big threat. Most of Rogue's minions are just big threats. So
we do have the perfect answer to Tomb Pillager though, and that is the sap, because Rogues really like their coins. I think Ledah would rather have this Tomb Pillager die than have it get sapped.
yeah.
And so we could see, well, okay, so here we see Shy with the Shadow Strike. He can go prep Shadow Strike or he can go prep Sap, and I would rather go for the prep Sap to deny the coin here. Giving Ledah the coin means he can go coin Drake. So yeah, I think it's going to be questing prep Sap. Just get the 4-4 on the table, provide a threat for your opponent to deal with without the coin in his arsenal.
I kind of just like Shadow Strike.
Just Shadow Strike?
Just Shadow Strike.
Giving your opponent something to do.
Give me a quest.
Yeah, but I don't know. It seems like 4 health on a questing adventure is not big enough of a threshold to use that many resources. Because that's a prep and a questing adventure. He's got Azure Drake to sort of reload.
Right, but you're denying your opponent a coin. It's kind of like using a Wrath on an Acolyte. Because
Yeah.
otherwise it gets out of control. You're trading 1 for 2. You're giving your opponent advantage in that way, but you're just preventing them from going off, essentially. Well, Ledah has multiple ways to deal with his questing adventure, whether he wants to go for Blood Mage Backstab, Blood Mage Eviscerate, and yeah, doesn't want to take the extra 4 damage because not much healing in the deck. Pretty straightforward turn here for Shy. Gonna go ahead, play out that Drake. Needs to kill off the Thanos on the other side, and we're just having bunch of trading back and forth. Ledah, pretty straightforward as well. Going to be, looks like the Drake into the backstab, take it out with the dagger.
Neither player really getting much of an edge, but Ledah's hand is just feels so much better.
Right, but it's a lot of minions, and I don't know if you'll ever have the chance to play all those minions, especially if Shy forces his hand like this.
Yeah, but now both questing adventures gone.
This guy's toast.
So Ledah, though, yeah, you're right. He's gonna have to deal with this, but Tomb Pillager plus Eviscerate. I mean, Shy established himself as the aggressor very early on, and I feel like you don't know in the match whether or not you should be the aggressor or not until much later. And he sort of just like gave up his hand and gave Ledah an easy game plan of, I'm just going to remove your stuff because I have card advantage.
Right, it's difficult though because his hand was just questing adventure plus stuff, and his only other real alternative was just do nothing essentially.
Well, I mean, that's fine in road matchup, I think, is if you have removal spells, which, I mean, he did have Shadow Strike, he had Sap, you can wait. And he had Gathers and Auctioneer, he had Azure Drake, so it wasn't like he didn't have a way to reload. And now he's stuck in a situation where he basically has to draw a Conceal, or he's not going to win.
Ledah actually has a pretty interesting choice here. He can go for Gadgets in and Conceal. It does die to double fan, but barring that, should be okay.
Shy's already used 1 Fan of Knives to cycle early on in the game.
Did he really?
He did, yeah. Use it on turn 3 just to get the extra card. Well, with Leroy, that might change things.
Yeah.
Because if he can push 12 this turn and find some damage.
Yeah. went down to 12 right now, which means that Leroy plus eviscerates. Meanwhile, on the side of Ledah, he has a lot of damage in his own right with the Leroy and the Cold Blood. I think that Ledah might actually go for something like a sap on the Gadgeton because he's pretty close to just killing Shy as well. He needs to start putting something together though.
He's actually like out of removal spells, sort of. I mean, he's got Shadow Strike left in the deck, but...
Well, I think regardless, he starts off with the coin. I don't know what world you wouldn't start off with the coin. You're not going to be playing Battle Teacher this turn, I don't think. So, picks up the prep, which you might have wanted to use that with sap.
Yeah, that's usually why coin's the better one to start off.
Yeah, I don't know why he's prepping right now because he has nothing to prep with. I guess Shiv's reasonable. He's going to Shiv face. He's looking for lethal, I guess.
I mean, he's not going to find lethal, but I think he's just looking for conceal. He's running out of time, though, so he's really got to go. And he's going to have to trade in the Gadgeton Auctioneer.
I don't... But he could have just gotten another card and had a 12/12 Van Cleef, though.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out a reason why he did that. I guess the coin might help him get lethal later, but he doesn't know that right now.
Yeah.
That said, Shy is in a pretty interesting spot right now. Has Barnes, has Sap, though.
I don't think there's really anything great Barnes can pull. He's out of Questing Adventures.
That's not bad.
Yeah, Tomb Builder's not bad at all.
And gonna build his own 6/6 Van Cleef, which means, yeah, we're just going right back over to Ledah being in trouble.
Yeah, he's got no spells up. What's even removal spells does he have left in the deck?
That's kind of a removal spell.
Sort of, but he doesn't have Eviscerates. And if he Phantom Knives first, Shadow Strike all of a sudden gets eliminated as a removal option.
Same as Backstab. He only has one Backstab left in the deck.
Only one Backstab left. I mean, his deck is like all minions.
Does he Leroy and clear with Fan? Leroy hit the Van Cleef and then Fan?
I think, yeah. That sounds like a good play because he has to play the grinding game now. He's got resource advantage. But
kind of, yeah. He does have a lot of damage as well. It's really tempting to just hold on to the Leroy for burst, but he is at 15, and he's already seen 2 Cold Blood, so he's somewhat safe. He needs to go violently in one way or the other, though, right? He needs to either be very safe or very aggressive, I would say.
Gadgeton's bold, especially since the rope is about to start.
Wow.
So he's going to Cold Blood, and then he has SI7 Agent, but he's going to take...
He's just going to play the Van Cleef, and opponent has, well, 3 damage now, along with a Leroy. That's 9, 10. If there's an Eviscerate, that's lethal.
If he draws Eviscerate, that is.
That is
SI7 Agent's not quite.
The thing is, Shy's at 23 health. He can just take his time as well.
Yeah, and he still has a clear here with Shadow Strike and draws Conceal. Ooh. Oh yeah, he's used Cold Blood. So he had to use a Cold Blood to clear. There's actually no way that Ledah can find lethal with the cards that he has. She's going to go face, Conceal. And he's got lethal set up next turn. I don't think Ledah can get there.
There's no taunt, no heal for Ledah. He needs to win the game right now, but like you said...
So he's got 14 with Leroy, and then Dagger Deadly would be the most possible damage that he can do, and that'd be 17?
Looking like it, and he has limited draw as well.
So many options.
I think we might have a champion here, unless Ledah picks up a miracle draw from this. Unless he's got an Ancient War tucked in.
Backstab
this
always
rogue deck.
comes off of Fan of Knives, and that is going to be likely the end here for Ledah. Second Fan, just
Second
for good
Fan
measure.
for 4 mana. What's a miracle 4 mana draw? There's a prep.
It's not going to do it.
Not going to do it. He's going to try and set up as much damage as possible, but Shy has got to realize, you can see him, he's breathing a little bit heavier, his chest is pumping.
He's shifting. He's like, this is it, I can't lose my board here. I have the damage in hand. Shy is going to win the Thailand Major.
Really impressive performance by Shy. Fist bump. And that's it. We have ourselves a champion. Shy coming from the winner's bracket all the way through. 0 match losses.